There you go. Can you hear me?
What are you doing, man?
Can you hear me? It's freezing out here.
Yeah, it's freezing here too, but you don't get to lay in bed the whole time.
I did too. I gave away the chair.
Where you lay down?
I gave away the chair that I used to sit in right there.
To who?
This is the
Oh, I
quietest
see.
part of the house.
You sold it?
Yeah, to because we're moving, you know, we gave them away to. I don't know who did I give that chair to. Oh, I gave it to a pregnant mother. They're gonna be rocking in that chair they used to rock in. The baby.
Good. I'm glad they're rocking in it.
Yeah. I'm not gonna move back and
I'm
forth.
picking up your sarcasm, Greg.
Isn't it
No,
beautiful?
I'm glad it's not Jason. That's all. Man, it was
Laying it
irritating.
on pretty thick.
Look at the beautiful wallpaper. You guys miss
Why
it.
can't I close this window? This is so annoying. Come on.
Jason, you legitimately cannot lay down the whole time.
Why not?
Because you sound terrible.
I don't sound terrible.
Yeah,
how do I sound different?
You
It's
sound like
like
you're laying down.
You think I'm laying down? Okay, hold
and you're
on.
like making a lot of noise with the
A
shirt.
lot of noise.
How
Like
about
every
I-
time you
how
move,
about
the
I-
whole thing.
How about I sit like this?
This is so stupid. I hate this window. Gosh,
I really
here
thought
we
you were talking
go.
about Jason. So that's
No. This stupid window.
I
You
did
think I
too.
would know how to do it?
How about sit
I
down?
did it. This
You
is like the
just-
100th time we met, and I always forget how to minimize the window.
every single time. Jason,
How
you
about that?
can't move at all though. That's the like the second you move, the whole thing sounds terrible.
Okay, I'm not gonna move.
There's
See
no way
your
that's possible.
little microphone on your cord. That's what's like.
No, I haven't moved yet. Is it doing the thing? This is the laptop that it made that sound.
Great.
No, it was not the laptop.
It was
No,
the
this isn't.
laptop.
Is it making it
Let's
now?
see here. Sorry, I forgot, guys. Were you waiting for me to apologize? Fine, I'll do it. I was
Good.
like
Finally somebody said it.
sitting
That's
there. Wednesdays, I just was not clued in.
I almost sent out a text earlier and then I realized and then I kind of forgot too and it was like, oh crap.
Yeah,
forgot
I
to send
just was not ready. I got ready in 45 minutes. Thank you very much.
Good
Washed
job.
my hair, dried it, straightened
super
it.
impressive. Super
Rest.
impressive.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
You straighten
Errands.
your hair, B?
Just today I did, yeah.
Oh.
Because curling takes too long. Curling, I wouldn't have been here for another 15 minutes.
I know, but isn't that like a natural state of your hair? What is that?
Oh no, it's frizzy and gross. I don't think anyone's seen the natural state of it for like 15 years.
I thought this was like the way your hair always was.
No,
Like, I just assumed it
this
was
is
always-
straightened.
Oh, well there you go.
Yeah, it's kind of frizzy otherwise. You just got to put some heat on it. You know what
Now
I
I
mean?
sort of feel like you've been lying to me the whole time I've known you. I gotta rethink a bunch
know.
of things.
No, this is straight.
I didn't know that.
Very straight. Usually it's curled.
Really?
Yeah, like a big barrel though, so it's not like tiny little curls. It's like a.
I don't know anything about anything. Jason, it looks like you're in the hospital, man.
How is the sound? I don't care about that.
You look like sad too.
I'm a little sad, a little tired, but I'm good.
Okay, as long as you tell us you're good.
Yeah. I'm good. I'm totally good, but I'm not gonna move a lot.
Hey, hold on 1 second.
That's very
Hold on 1 second.
natural.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna move the whole time.
Hey, what's up?
That reminded
He's
me to
answering calls now. What is this guy doing?
turn my phone off.
Jason,
Jason, your recommendation of the show
Hold on a
Lovesick
second.
was right on.
And
Don't you and Malia watch Lovesick?
Yeah, we do. We love that.
I'm like obsessed with that show now. I'm afraid to watch them all, and then I won't have any more to watch. They're
Is that
so
the one?
good.
Is that the British one?
Yeah.
Is that the one that the British version is called Scrotal Recall?
Yeah, it's the same show. They just changed the title.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah,
I do. I
I
love that
know.
show.
It's like a romantic comedy movie, but like super long.
Oh, that reminds me. You told me to see Go Coco. Loved it.
Isn't
It's a
it
cry fest.
great?
Yeah, it's a
It totally
great film.
is. It
It's a
comes on
cry
sale
fest film.
next week, and I'm gonna buy it to have it forever.
We saw it in the cheap theaters. It's right by our house. It was
Oh
good.
yeah,
You were right. You said go see it in the theater, and I did. We were stoked.
isn't it gorgeous?
It is. It's a wicked, pretty movie.
I
So
know.
unique. I
Yeah,
love it.
I know.
Music.
Super. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
Now you got to go buy it on iTunes.
Sorry about that.
after I land.
You don't have to do that.
Yeah. No, it probably will. The kids will probably want to see it again.
Yeah.
They both loved it too.
I also don't have a B-sides yet. Any ideas?
How is that possible, Bianca? I thought for sure
Greg,
you had them.
Greg will text you. Greg will text you.
I'm not texting.
Why don't you text
On my
him?
drive here, I thought of my 3 things, so I didn't have time to think of a B-side.
Nice. Which is weird because the last B-sides is probably your best.
I know,
I
it's
like your
because I
last
stole
B-side.
it from Michael Schur.
Haven't
Thief.
they all been stolen from somebody?
That's what it sounds like
Yep.
to me. That's what I hear.
You are correct. Let me try to think of something else I've heard someone say.
Ay.
It's
Okay.
difficult, man.
I
This
got
is
one.
riveting.
Why couldn't we
Okay.
meet tomorrow?
I've got council tomorrow.
Oh, right on.
Yeah. So that's actually one of the like I've just been like running like crazy all week because trying to
To
get everything
prepare
ready
for
for
it.
that. So
And we'll have to play it by ear because the next couple weeks I'm going to be moving, so it might get a little crazy. But-
yeah.
Mhm.
We'll see.
Well, as long as you keep your bed, we should be able to keep recording.
Amen.
Don't pack up
Amen.
your laptop.
Amen. Now I got a new laptop. All right, who goes where?
Bianca
know.
introduces. You go second, and I pick.
This is the sweet spot. This is my
Yeah,
favorite.
that's like you've had a whole hour to remember that, Greg. That was good.
Yeah, I just edited the last one. I finally posted the last one, so I was like, I just listened to it a second ago.
Yeah, usually it's
Sorry.
like 5 minutes of us going like, who's on
Yeah, who
first?
did it? Yeah, who did it? No, Bianca, Jason, me,
And you're
Oh.
picking, Greg.
and I'm picking.
Okay.
So Bianca's introducing. Jason, you go first. Bianca, you go second. I go third and pick. That's the whole
Okay.
deal. Did we settle the B-side thing?
Yes,
Oh, we did?
Yeah.
Oh,
I
good.
thought of something.
Perfect.
This is the kind of question where I would not want to be put on the spot, but I already have an answer, so you guys are put on the spot.
That's exactly the kind we want.
Yes.
So
That's when
repeat
it's
that
at
word
its
again.
best.
Who's doing
I'm
intro?
Me.
Jason.
Okay, this is the best week. I love it when you do intro. I love
Yeah,
it.
that is all of our favorites for sure.
But then
Okay,
do
it's
I
gonna
go
be
first
short.
right after? Remember,
Yeah,
it used to be
you go
like-
first, Jason.
And then
After
me.
the intros.
Okay.
And then I'll go second.
Yeah.
Bianca introduces. Jason goes first. Bianca goes second. Greg goes third and picks.
Perfect.
And then what? And then Jason goes again second.
That's-
And then me second.
That's right.
You
And then it just stays
second.
the same order the rest of the
Okay,
time.
and then after
You
that,
second, you
Jason
second.
goes third, and then
I
I
go
go third, and then Greg goes third. Okay,
No,
got
we
it.
snake the draft back. And then I go third and then first.
Yeah, let's do that. April Fool's Day. Okay, here we go. Whew. Everyone just calm down.
I'm just gonna calm down.
Okay. You are listening to This Week in Gratitude. We are 3 friends from all over the country who talk with one another about once a week and just share with each other the things that we're grateful for. And you are listening in to our conversation. We are Greg in Texas, Jason in Michigan, and me, Bianca, in Seattle, Washington State. Okay, we'll just stick with the states. And we're so grateful you tuned in. And if you're a super fan, or even if you're just tuning in for the first time, we have a Twitter handle, and it is at Week in Gratitude. So follow us and hear what we're talking about offline when we're not making a podcast. And share this if you like it. Tell your friends, and we're so glad you're listening.
Wonderful.
Yes. Thanks, B.
And I'll
She's tapping out now. She's done for the rest of the podcast. She's done her part.
I'm gonna go take a nap now.
and the way it works is like we all share a couple things we're grateful for, and then the person that goes last picks which
That's
one
right.
of the five, like the 5 best of them or whatever.
And this week I get to do it.
Bada bing, bada boom.
That's
And
right.
so I'll get us right out of the gate. I'm big on a PBS or whatever. I think PBS made my last one too, that Austin City Limits. But I think there's a PBS television show called Speakeasy, and it's different people interviewing different people, and it has like something to. It's loose. It always has a musician being interviewed by some like writer or editor of a magazine or of books or something like that. And the first one I saw was Steve Earle being interviewed by somebody from Rolling Stone, I think. And then the one that makes it this week is Nick Lowe being interviewed by a guy named Jim Nelson, and he's the chief editor of GQ magazine. And so it's just interesting. I think it kind of is my ode to I don't know. Everybody else listens to podcasts and stuff like that. I would rather listen. I'd rather watch people. I don't know why it's weird about me, but when I'm listening to something, I want it to be music. But when I'm watching something, I want it to be music related, and music, something. Like I think the primary, like I think TVs were invented so that you could watch concerts and so that you could watch musicians being interviewed, and that's what I think.
So, Jason,
Anyway.
you asked the question, "What's wrong with you?" I'm wondering, B, is that our B side for this week? What's wrong with Jason?
What's wrong with you? There's a list. There's the list.
That's our second podcast. After we
but
do
Nick-
this one, we'll record that one.
I didn't know much about Nick Lowe, but he seems just like a solid dude. And what I liked about it the most is he's like he's just like your neighbor. He seems like just an average dude that happened to be at the right place at the right time. So he was kind of pulled into the music world, but he knows his role. Like it was so interesting to see a guy that's really comfortable in his own skin. He's a musician. He's like, yeah, I'm not, Clapton, or I'm not, like I'm not these big names like Streisand and all these people that reinvent themselves and stay at the top of the pop charts. And I'm just a guy that likes to write music and likes to produce music, and it's and he made a living out of it. He's not like super wealthy, but it was really cool. It's just a really cool episode. So highly recommend it. Go look around on
Is it like
.org or .com and look around for the Speakeasy, and especially the episode of Nick Lowe being interviewed by Jim Nelson.
it's just like the two of them in a room somewhere?
Yeah, and I've only seen 2 of them, and the musician there's always just an acoustic guitar there, so they talk together for a while, and then he plays, the musician plays a couple of his tunes, and Nick Lowe, he's famous for writing What's So Funny About Peace, Love, and Understanding the Costello. He's famous for producing Elvis Costello's first 5 albums, I think.
Wow.
So, and he wrote that song, What's So Easy About, but he admits that Elvis Costello took it and made it way, way better. Anyway, it was just good. It's a really interesting thing. And,
Do you remember any of the other episodes?
yeah, just the
Okay.
Steve Earle one. That's the only one. That's the only 2
Oh.
I've even seen. I think there's probably a bunch if you look around online, but because it's probably been running for a while. But these are the only 2 I've seen. And Steve Earle, I love. That's what actually hooked me onto it, because I was recording at Austin City Limits on my DVR, and then I noticed right after Steve Earle, and I was like, oh, I love hearing that guy talk. Anyway, so the first one was Steve Earle. It was good too, but I didn't know anything about Nick Lowe. And then right after this, watching it's about an hour and a half. Now I want to go listen to some Nick Lowe stuff.
There you go.
Nice.
It worked.
Nick Lowe and Jim Nelson.
Yeah,
Easy.
new fan. Okay, I'll go. And I'll do my music one then. Jason, you're moving my order around, but I want to do music. This is just a secret way of me talking about watching the show Lovesick on Netflix, which Jason recommended, and I'm getting super into it. But there was a song that ended one of the last episodes, and I went looking for it, and it turns out I love the whole album. So I'm gonna recommend the whole album, and I'll tell you which song it was. And it came out last year. It's an English artist named Duke Garwood, and the album is called Garden of Ashes. Oh dang, I already forgot what the song's name was. But one of the episodes ended on this song called Blue. The song's called Blue. And it's just kind of this like gravelly, folksy thing. And the first song was so good, the one that got me to the album. And I was like, ooh, what's the rest of this sound like? And it's pretty similar and just as good and kind of like rockin', but like this low, gravelly voice. And I don't know if he's famous in England or anything. I've never heard of him. Maybe y'all have heard of him. Yeah, so Garwood. Garwood. And so I don't know this guy's story. I don't know his deal. I just know this album, Garden of Ashes, is pretty great. I listened to it last night after watching the episode of Lovesick, which that will be one of my top later. I'm just not done with the series yet. I'm like afraid to finish it because it's so good.
I don't remember Jason recommending it.
Dave Malia watches it. Watch it.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah, it's like a love triangle kind of thing. It's a BBC show, which is why they have some music on the show that I've never heard before. They're usually English artists that are maybe pretty popular over there. And so sometimes I'll pursue a song I hear on the show, and this one was like it led to this great discovery of this album. It came out last year. Anyway, and the show's great too.
What's the best song or best album you've ever discovered by listening to a TV show?
I can tell you that, and it's really embarrassing, so I'm being very vulnerable right now. In college, I watched The OC, and Jeff Buckley's Hallelujah was on it, and that's the first time I'd ever heard Jeff Buckley. And I was watching it with my roommate who's really into music, and she'd obviously heard of the whole album Grace before, so she burned me a copy of the album, and I couldn't believe I hadn't ever heard of Jeff Buckley before, but The OC got me into Jeff Buckley.
Nice.
That's awesome. That is wicked good. I'm having trouble thinking of ones because I love that song that came from that Sprite commercial that I don't even remember the name of that band. That it was a DJ. He pulls together some.
Like recently?
I think Jersey State. Or Jersey, whatever. Remember that guy from Scrubs made that movie?
Oh, Garden State.
Garden State, there it is. Jersey State. You're stupid, Jason. I saw Bianca going, oh my gosh.
No, it clicked on why you said that. I wasn't thinking you were stupid. It just makes sense.
I was thinking it, if that helps at all.
Like 1-to-1. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, it was either that movie or as a commercial again, but Orange Sky by Alexi Murdoch. And that's how I discovered Alexi Murdoch.
Yeah.
I think
it might have been the commercial, but I think that's on the soundtrack too. Anyway.
I think the show that did it for me consistently was Scrubs.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You brought it up anyway, but there's like 2 or 3 different guys that play on that show at different points that are like, oh man, those are all great.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And that Men at Work dude that they
that he comes back and does a couple of songs here and there is amazing. And then Peter Gabriel's Book of Love is really good at the end of that series. And then and then also is it Joshua Radin or something? He's got some like soft stuff throughout it that was pretty good. That's probably my number one.
Nice.
All right. That was good.
Yeah.
All right.
Cool.
While we're talking about music, Jason, I listened to the Killers' new album as you recommended it, and it's really good.
Yeah,
and we've set some kind of new record. I like some music that you recommended. I can't believe it.
I think Jesus might come back this year.
Yeah, this might be the end of everything. I don't know. It's the end. This is a whole new year for us. Maybe this year when you give recommendations, I'll like them. I don't know.
Yeah.
Seems unlikely, but it was awesome. That's a great album.
It is.
I was digging a lot of it. I like the song you picked. I thought it was great. I like a bunch of stuff in that album. That was really good.
I like how he put together the songs too. Like
Mhm.
the album really does move. Like it brings up and down and it twists and turns and stuff like that. There's an interesting one later in the album where he starts with quoting Matthew. You remember that? There's I think it's just interesting when you hear scripture in.
Yeah, I listened to the whole album probably 3 times.
Yeah.
But I definitely like listened to the first couple songs a lot.
Yeah.
I really liked Rut, and I really liked The Man.
Yeah.
And those two like back to back was kind of jarring. Like,
yeah, I got news for you, baby. You're looking at The Man. I love it. Malia loves it too.
Yeah.
oh, I'm sure she does.
She hates that song. Quickly.
Hard to believe.
Started hating that song. Yeah.
Yeah. I listened to it too, Jason. I liked it. I liked the album.
Bada
There you
big.
go.
When you recommended it, but I knew I was gonna like it.
You drink
I had
it
a
from your water
suspicion,
bottle,
but-
makes me with my water bottle.
I had a suspicion I would like it because I like them usually, but I still, it makes me nervous when you recommend a band. All right, so I don't know. My first one, I'm gonna go with. I got into like I've never do this, but earlier last week after the shootings in Florida, Neil deGrasse Tyson tweeted some stuff about how prayer doesn't stop kids from getting shot, and I got really mad. So then I just started tweeting a bunch of stuff. I don't know. So anyway, that's I just not really. Neither of those things are my favorite, but I do. I have appreciated this time around with this particular mass shooting, the way in which people are trying to engage Twitter and Facebook a little bit differently. It feels like. I don't know. It feels like we've crossed some sort of line where there's like actual conversations happening about how to fix things instead of just being mad at each other. Although it does seem like there's plenty of people just being mad at each other, but it feels more reasonable this time through. I don't know. I might be making that up. I might just be optimistic, but I'm not usually accused of that. So there's a chance it's actually moving towards sort of a helpful direction of some sort. I don't know. But so my number 2 is my like yelling at Neil deGrasse Tyson. I don't know. Sorry, Bea. I just can't handle that guy. He drives me crazy.
No, I don't actually like him.
I have to say, like, I badmouth physics a little bit in one of my comments to him. So
I haven't seen these, and I'm on Twitter all the time.
Does he engage?
What was that?
Does he engage with you? Like, does he respond?
No,
to you?
he didn't. But I felt like he did. I felt like that's the problem with Twitter.
Yeah.
It makes you feel like he's gonna see it, and I'm sure he doesn't see it or care because, it's just not how it works. But in my head, it was just the most ridiculous tweet I'd ever seen, I think, and I just couldn't believe it. So I was so mad that I just like immediately launched into it. And in hindsight, I don't know that I should have done that necessarily, but I've had really good conversations about it all week because I did it. So that's one of those. It's probably encouraging a habit that it should not encourage. So. I don't know.
Did anybody respond? Because I actually saw something that you tweeted. There was, for some reason, I get emailed when tweets happen or something like that. I don't know what.
Yeah.
But you tweeted something about, if they ban guns,
yeah.
do you think it's going to be a police state? Did anybody respond to that?
I got a couple of responses on Facebook and then a couple in person. Like the whole point of like just raising that question was.
Yeah. I thought that was a good question.
Yeah, you can't radically distrust your government and then also say the government's the only one who should have guns. Like it's a weird paradox in the argument.
Yeah.
And I don't know what the solution is. Like the solution may still be only the government should have guns. I don't know, but it's the same people who want only the government to have guns are the same people who don't trust the government at all. And it's like a weird, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's just a weird paradox in the argument.
Do you ever watch that show, Jim Jeffries, the Jim Jeffries show?
Yeah, I know I think I know what you're talking about. Yeah,
it's like a Comedy Central's version of Last Week Tonight of John Oliver.
Yeah,
but because Jim Jeffries is an Australian dude, and he went to some country where they don't even arm the police.
Yeah,
like they just give them like a flashlight or like a pen and the little thing they write tickets with. And he was just it was a really funny episode. Anyway, I was shocked that somebody else had seen it, but anyway, bad Pope.
Well, the gun conversation on the whole is like a really strange place. Like and I don't own a gun. I've never owned a gun. I will never own a gun. So like it's a strange spot for me because it also is a spot where I have kids in school and all that. But I don't know. The whole thing is just it's not obviously one of the things you're always grateful for, but I think it pushes on some spots that need to be pushed on once in a while that we sort of get really comfortable and complacent with. One of the things, Bianca, I'd be curious from your side of it as a youth minister, one of the things that keeps coming up is this sort of like weird total trust in the youth to solve this problem.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think it is unique to this mass shooting in that these were high schoolers who are, voting age. We're super engaged. I mean, we're really seeing the like cross section of like all the social media stuff you're talking about and this happening to them. I mean, I think let's try some stuff. So we've never really listened in the past. Let's try it. Let's see where this goes. I know they're going to their state capital today. They're organizing, they're moving, which is great. I mean, I'm not saying they have all the solutions, but nothing else in the past has really worked. So why not try it and see? Obviously, they're not going to come up with the most nuanced policy, but they've got stuff to say and they've been listening and they're 18. They've grown up completely. Every year of their life has been some mass shooting in school. So they're coming at it with a different perspective that older people just don't have. And I don't think shooing them away just because they're young is a good tactic. I don't think creating policy around what a 17 or 18-year-old says is also a great move. But, something somewhere in the middle. I mean, they're listening, they're paying attention. And I see it a lot, especially with middle schoolers, which, granted, it's true that, they don't know everything. They think they know everything. Don't listen to them, which, sometimes you really shouldn't. But I think people don't give them, I've made that mistake. I know that from experience. There are plenty of stories I have where I'm like, well, the 7th grader told me it was a good idea. And so I'm not saying that. But, and so they do
I have the reverse of those stories.
The 70-year-old told me it was a good idea.
A lot. And I think let them stretch out a little bit. Let them exercise their civic duty. And they have a point. You can send me to war, but you're not gonna listen to what I say about my school becoming a war zone. Like, they have a point. So
for sure, right? I mean, for sure.
And I do think it's a unique situation with social media being so prevalent and growing up on it. In this age. So I don't know. I don't have all the answers, but I think listening is a great start.
For sure.
And I liked that, like that call for action from that young lady. It sounded like it was almost written like a psalm, we call BS. And then I thought she nailed it. I think, or whoever wrote that thing. It was just really well written.
Yeah, you can't be telling us that nothing can be done. That can't be the answer to this. So the challenge is on, in the court of policymakers and lawmakers. So
that's the other piece to me that I found really fascinating this time around is how quickly our remorse and anger and grief over this turn to policymakers or voting or restructuring laws. And it's just always, it's one of those, like, to me, it's always a tell, right? Like, it's always one of those, like, the level to which or where we think power is when our default knee-jerk reaction is we need to look to the government to solve this for us. It doesn't mean they shouldn't, and it doesn't mean there's nothing to be done there, but it was just really interesting that it was like on Ash Wednesday in the middle of Lent, and like, man, the U.S. has a gun problem, and everywhere in the world has a evil heart problem, right? And so I just don't know how we solve the gun problem without ever solving the evil heart problem. And that's not meant to be like a paralyzing, we should never do anything with the laws. It's just one of those, like, that's where our hope is, and it's so disappointing because they're going to screw that up over and over again.
Because is the power in the lawmakers?
Right.
I don't think it is, but yeah. Anyhow, that's a good question. That was a good little section right there. We should probably end it right there. I don't know if we get better than that.
No, because we gotta talk about.
Okay.
We gotta talk about This Is Us still.
Oh yeah. Well, it was a bye week, so.
A bye week.
It's a bye week.
Like it's a sport.
It's in between seasons or whatever, in between episodes. All right, is mine next? I think I'm next.
I think that's right.
I think my number 2, we'll keep it. I think I'll end with it heavy. So let's keep it kind of light, but even though yours is just heavy, how about I go to All-Star Weekend? That is a surpriser. I love All-Star Weekend. Did you see how LeBron James and Curry, the way they organized it, and LeBron was taking credit. So I think I don't know, unless he was lying, he's saying, like Stefan and I said, hey, let's restructure this thing and see if we can get some more competitive spirit involved. And so they took it on themselves and they made each other, like they were team captains, and they East picked whoever they wanted and the West picked whoever they wanted, and it was a way tighter game. And did you see your Bucks guy might have lost the game for him?
What?
Did you see that last play? It was partially the Canadian dude, or he plays for Canada. He plays for Toronto. I forget his name, but he's from LA.
Oh,
He passed it out to your dude, and your dude missed it. And then that was a defensive stop for the East, and then they came back and got the last couple points.
Yeah, that's a very slanted view of what happened on that play.
That's what I think. I was watching. I was like, dude, I think Greg's Bucks guy lost the game for him.
Yeah, Giannis was on the move, man. He was gonna go dunk it. It was just a bad pass.
Yeah.
I thought that's what I thought. What's funny is I watched All-Star Weekend.
Butterfingers. What the heck was wrong with that?
Butterfingers. All right.
The dunk contest was ridiculous.
Yeah.
I do. The only thing that I like, the only reason it made my This Week in Gratitude is because they restructured it, and I actually cared about the All-Star game. That was cool. And then all the dunk contest and the 3-point whatever, and then they added that other thing I don't even watch. But all that just reminded me of the first one that I ever watched, the first All-Star Weekend I ever watched. Jordan was doing like the dunk contest, and I think Bird was shooting 3-pointers. And
that was a good one.
You remember those days were crazy. You remember Jordan would breast out. He jumped from a free throw line and dunked it. I remember being a little kid and saying, that's physically impossible. And I went out to because we had a basketball hoop right above our garage, and I was just like, how the heck did he do that? I remember just standing in my garage going, how the heck did he jump from there and dunk it there? I was just blown away. So just the fact that it spurred up all those memories of the NBA and all the cool history and good memories that I have around so many games and wins and losses and that kind of thing.
I thought the basketball was way better than it has been lately, but everything else around it was a disaster.
Yeah.
Like the opening half-hour weird musical sketch was just terrible. And then the Star Spangled Banner was just
my gosh,
awful.
My highlight from that was Charles Barkley going, I think I need a cigarette. that was the best timed, best response to that.
And Shaq sticking up for her was like, what did you listen to, Shaq? That was rough. My wife came in as the lady was singing it, and she's like, what's happening?
The lady, it was Fergie from
I know, but she didn't know who it was. She just heard from you couldn't tell from listening to her that that's who it was.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm with you, Jay. That was fun. Did you watch any of the All-Star Weekend, B?
No.
You're not a basketball person, right?
No. I mean, I know who.
That's weird because you're so tall.
I know, it's one of my favorite sports to play. No, but I was obviously reading a lot of takes on Twitter at the time, but it didn't make me want to watch the game or anything like that. I saw that the song being sung, but and everyone's reaction to it. But that's all I got from that. And the consensus on Twitter is that this format was pretty awesome, just like Jason said.
Yeah,
like people liked it. Yeah, way
they just
better.
need to televise the actual draft part of it.
Maybe that's step 2.
Maybe.
Yeah.
They should cut out that thing I didn't watch. What was it called? The skills something?
Skills challenge or whatever.
Yeah. They should cut that out and show the draft. I think that's a good idea.
Yeah. I think that's what they should do, is not do the draft until that Saturday night and then pick whoever's there. Because then you don't have like the guys who get injured and ruin teams and all that kind of stuff. But
would they have time to practice together?
They don't ever practice together.
Oh.
No. It's a fair question. Actually, that was one of the funny stories on the way into it is the guy from Milwaukee, Giannis, thought they practiced together. He was all excited to get there and practice with them, and they're like, "Oh no, this is just, you just show up and play." He goes, "Oh, all right."
I would assume they practice.
No,
they practice the baseball All-Star game.
No, they do not.
Well, they take grounders together. Yeah. I've seen it.
They warm up. They warm up together. That's all it is.
But isn't it? It's not on the day, or I guess maybe it is on the day.
It is on the day. It's the same. Okay. They would do that part.
Okay.
They do the equivalent of that. They warm up.
Why didn't your Giannis guy do the dunk contest? Why didn't anybody
I don't know.
I would love to. He could just stand and do a normal dunk. And
that's part of the reason he doesn't do it, because he's so tall. It won't look nearly as impressive.
I think
the shorter guys always look more impressive.
He could hold on to the ball. I bet. Like Vince Carter would do and hang from the elbow. I think your guy could jump and hang from his shoulder. He could hold on to the ball and jump through. It would look superhuman. But I think that guy's sick.
he could beat your Michael Jordan from the free throw line dunk.
Yeah,
he could go from further out than that.
See, what a beast!
Because he's done it almost in a game before. He's done it like a half a step inside the free throw line in a game. So
I know he needs to do it. I don't know why. Why do they have these weenies?
Well, just ask him. Tell him to do it. Yeah.
Text him.
Yeah, that's what Twitter's for.
I'll tweet him.
I tweet him.
Tweet him and that scientist dude.
Yeah, we'll take care of it. All right,
Twitter solves nothing.
Good solution. All right, B. That means you're up.
This is another music one.
Whoa!
I watched the documentary on HBO about the Avett Brothers.
Oh yeah.
Called May It Last, and it was produced and directed by Judd Apatow. And I would call myself like a B, not a minus or a plus, just like your average B Avett Brothers fan. And so I was interested in it. And this made me like solid A Avett Brothers fan.
Wow.
Oh, perfect. I just learned more about what the band was all about. I mean, I knew there were a few of them that were brothers, but I didn't even know which ones were the brothers. So I learned a lot about the band. They've been through a lot of things, which you can assume for a band being together for, about 9 years, maybe more. That, they've been through some things, but they actually spell it out, and it's obviously very well told narrative wise. You get to see some of their live stuff. You get to see them perform the album, in the studio, the thing that we're all listening to, which is amazing. Rick Rubin is the producer of this album. And anyway, if you haven't seen it, or maybe you consider yourself like an average Avett Brothers fan, I would recommend watching this documentary. And this goes with what Jason's saying. If you're going to watch a movie, why not make it a music movie?
Yeah, that's why TV was invented.
Yeah, if you're in like that lane with Jason, then this is the way to spend an hour and 45 minutes of your weekend. So anyway, it's called May It Last.
Is it in theaters still, or?
Oh, I don't know if it was in theaters. I think it's only been
in HBO, right?
Yeah, HBO documentary.
It's on HBO right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it was made for HBO, and it's on HBO.
Oh, I love you. That's good. That's the best thing. I want to watch that right now. I'm going to hang up.
It's really good.
No, you have to finish the podcast, Jason. Although we could probably just guess your third one. Is it something? Yeah. Well, first off, it's going to be something like, there's so many to choose from, but I think it's going to be Gobert talking to.
I love you.
Gotta be Colbert talking to
mom. I like the Avets, man. I've always liked those dudes.
I love the one time that Greg guessed Jason's. He's like, let me guess, Bono on Colbert. And that was like the perfect guess. And it was pretty close. But that was like, right down the middle, like perfect setup.
That just reminded me. I think I might change mine to Bono and Rolling Stone. No, I'm just kidding. Although that is a wicked good article. I'm not gonna lie.
Bono on Colbert.
Oh man. I can't believe Jason got to the NBA All-Star game before me. That was
that was
pull that one, so now I gotta change my order up. This is a really self-serving one, but it is something I'm grateful for, which is I started a YouTube channel this week, which I'd never done before, so that's kind of exciting. It turns out anybody can do that. There's like zero qualifications necessary. So that's something. But I did I'm doing like a lectionary based every day look at one of the passages for the coming Sunday. So if you're in a lectionary church or you're interested in lectionary readings, it might be helpful. They're short. I'm doing like 4 or 5 minute videos each day. Just one a day. And then for me, I'm doing it as I write my sermon for Sunday, then it's a helpful kind of
nice.
Yeah, so I started it just to test it out and see if it would work and if it's something I want to keep doing or not.
Is that what you texted me to watch?
Yeah. Thanks for watching.
Yeah, but we're not doing lectionary. I'm not doing lectionary at McGrath.
Oh, well, then don't watch my video. If you're not doing lectionary,
what are you doing after Easter? Are you going to do something else after Easter? I should subscribe to your channel just so you know,
at least do that.
You're a free teacher or something.
Yeah, I mean, you gotta pay for the cost of subscribing, but after that, it's not bad.
That's not
true.
Oh wait, that's not true. It's YouTube. It doesn't cost you anything. You could just be a good friend, Jason. You could just subscribe.
All right.
Watch them. You might learn something about the passages. I don't know. Who knows?
Yeah. I'm preaching through the story. Have you ever heard of the story?
I have heard of the story. It's pretty good.
I like it a lot. And so we're preaching through it. 31 chapters in 40 days is what we're doing. But I'm taking off before the end of it. All right. Who's next? Do I go next?
You actually do go next. You know.
Bada bing, bada boom. It was going to be something on Bono, but it's not.
Bono on Colbert.
Bono and Rolling Stone, but can I get a freebie just because you are going to do the sports time anyway? No? All right. But
Bono you get 2 because you took Craig's. That doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It should make sense. Bono in Rolling Stone magazine says that the beginning of the blues was when David was in the cave writing his psalm as Saul chases him. And I just think that's cool. That's not even one of them, though. But just you mentioning Bono brought that out. That's pretty cool. That's the beginning of the blues. Bono's so cool. Anywho, number 3.
Everyone go read that article.
Yeah. Number 3 is, it's sad, but Billy Graham. Billy Graham, I don't know if you caught word, but Billy Graham passed away into the kingdom eternal today. And
99.
He's such a hero. He was such a hero of mine. I love. It was crazy. It's crazy how many times I've watched his tours. You know, his evangelism tours, just on TV and all this other stuff. And every single time, like he would be on like some late night. You know, I would always stop and watch. Even starting when I was a kid, all through my teen years. I don't know how many times in 20s, maybe 20, maybe 30. Just good. And I read that Just As I Am when it came out. And linked with that is, he mentions in that a camp I used to work at, Forest Home. He's up there and he meeting with this woman named Henrietta Mears, who started actually Forest Home. It's just an amazing woman of God. And my wife's grandparents were friends with Henrietta, and so they were in her small group and stuff like that. So just him passing away, it's just stirred up all this like missing and praising God for Forest Home and just that holy hill and neat stuff like that. So I'm grateful for what God did do that, dude, and it's going to continue to do. Anyhow.
Do either of you guys have a favorite Billy Graham story?
I don't. Sorry, I don't have one queued.
I don't. I always and it's kind of out of a can, but yeah. It's so crazy how simple his messages were, and how people God just used him so powerfully, just by stating the simplest of, like, every single time I was watching one of his tours, I was always like, wow. And actually, I steal some stuff from his preaching. Like, he doesn't. It's not rocket science. He always just kind of just states the obvious and doesn't try and get too flashy. But whenever he stated the obvious and just said it as it's written in Scripture, the response was just phenomenal. And it was that always blew my mind. I was like, every single time I was surprised by, oh, that's all you have to say, and God uses it. Anyway, I was just that's my Billy Graham story.
So at some point before I heard of any of the other stuff, I had read his. He had a book called The Master Plan of Evangelism, which is a pretty simple, straightforward look at evangelism, which I always thought was helpful. But then my friend Phil's dad used to tell this story all the time. I don't even know if it's true, but it's a good story. And so he apparently Nixon, Billy Graham, and then two other guys who were both famous, and I can't think of who they were. They all went golfing one day. And so they played 18 holes of golf, and they asked Nixon what it was like to golf with Billy Graham. And he said, it was all right, except for the guy just talks about Jesus all the time. They asked Billy Graham, did you talk about Jesus all the time with Richard Nixon? He goes, nah, I never said a word about it. And like the point of the story was like just Billy Graham's presence was so convicting to Nixon that he couldn't get out of his own way. So
yeah,
anyway.
Wow.
I always thought that was a pretty interesting story. That's the one that is like loaded for me when I think of Billy Graham. I was like, oh yeah, that having that kind of presence where just your presence is enough to remind people about Jesus is pretty cool.
Yeah,
so. That's good.
Yeah, that's a good one, Jason. All right, B, what do you got?
Yeah, I'll move on. The last one I have is a movie that I watched, and it came out, I don't know when it came out, a year ago, 2, whatever, called Lion, and it's the one with Dev Patel, and he's well, actually half the movie is the character as a little kid, which I really enjoyed, but it's that movie where the kid is Indian, he starts out in India, and then he gets lost from his family, and a family from Tasmania adopts him, and this is from a true story. And so I watched the movie. I didn't think it was, I always wanted to see it, but I didn't think it was the kind of movie I needed to watch in the theater. So I just waited to watch it on my laptop. And that's fine. You can watch it on your laptop. But it was really powerful. I really, really liked it. And I was appreciative that they, for some reason, I thought they were going to spend more time on him in Australia than him growing up in India. And it's really not. It's about 50-50. It's about first half of the movie is with the kid and just, living in India and showing what it's like and what happened after he got lost. And then the last half is on the kid grown up and figuring out who he is, having grown up in Tasmania, but he is Indian. And then I don't know if I want to spoil it, but he pursues his family back in India, and then you'll have to watch it to see what happens. But,
well, it's been a year and a half, so if you have to spoil it,
so he finds his family in India from Google Earth, and it's a true story too, so you could have maybe read about it. And he goes and finds the little village where he was from, and finds his mom, his biological mom, and he just has to grapple with. Just for the rest of his life now, grapple with having two families and none's lesser than the other. And the line that really killed me is when he was introducing himself to some new people when he went to college, and they were kind of testing him on his his Indianness. And he was like, oh, I was adopted. I'm not really Indian. And I was like, oh, crush this whole movie just in one line. And, I'm not really Indian. But he is like 100%. Anyway, so, if you haven't seen it, it's pretty emotional for other reasons. Just he has another adopted brother and things like that. But I would recommend Lion for people looking for kind of a really thoughtful, well-made movie. I always wanted to go visit India. This made me want to visit even more, and now I want to visit Tasmania. It looks amazing. So maybe I'll go.
Stop watching movies.
Maybe next month I'll just go. Okay, so that's it. That's my third thing.
Did you think that movie should have done better in the Oscars than it did?
I don't remember how it fared, but I think Dev Patel did well. I mean, I don't know if Nicole Kidman was up for anything. She was fine. She was maybe in like a quarter of the movie. The kid was amazing. I mean, sometimes I don't think kids should be nominated for just being a kid in a movie. Like, oh, you acted like a 5-year-old really well, 5-year-old. I would nominate this kid because he was so cute, but I don't know if he did much more than be a 5-year-old. So,
that kid's actually 8 in real life. He's some serious range.
Some real acting. Really. I don't know. I don't know what it was up against, but I mean, it's a good movie. I'm not one for rating things, so I'm not saying it was like better than Titanic, which it was, but which won an Oscar for Best Movie. But if you like thoughtful movies about people coming from two different cultures and figuring that out, maybe you're curious about what it might be like to be adopted into a different culture. I mean, there are a lot of levels to this movie. It's gorgeous to watch. Anyway, I'd recommend it for anyone.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's a good one.
Do you ever see it, Jason?
I never saw Lion. No, but it was recommended me. This is my second person that said, "Hey, you should watch that movie." My son's teacher said it's a life changer. It's a good one.
Yeah, I've heard that too.
Yep. That's it.
All right. Well, moving from a life-changing movie to a less than life-changing television show, but it is definitely one of the things I'm grateful for this week. My son and I talk about watching shows with Josh sometimes, and usually usually it's like an older show that I know is funny that I like show him or whatever. This time it's a little bit like that, but I need to also clarify that we did our year-end review TV shows, and I did not bring this show up, and I should have. Like, it's a huge black mark on my record. I failed it. So the show is Detroiters. Oh my gosh!
I love that show.
I restarted that show. It is amazing. Like, it was like all of us loved it when it was first on. I didn't put it in my end of the year thing. I finally showed my kid, and we were just like dying laughing. We've watched the first 4 episodes again.
Well, there's not a new one, right? It hasn't come out.
No, when is the new one come out? There's got to be another season, right?
Wow.
Yeah, because it came out last February, so it's been a year. So they should have a second season any day now. That's my theory. But
good.
Man, I laughed so hard at that show again. I forgot. Like, I knew it was funny, but there is a scene in the very first episode where they're like on a time crunch and they have to put this proposal together, and they start playing like Nerf basketball in the office.
And then he runs into the window.
It's like the perfect, like, if you want to know how a guy's brain works, this is exactly the thing. And then they accidentally run into the glass window and it doesn't break, and it doesn't break. And so then they spend the next 10 minutes or like 3 hours in the show probably trying to figure out how to break the window, and all the while they're not talking about their plan or what they're supposed to be working on. It's like, oh man, I've written more papers that way and been involved in more presentations that have gone like that. But oh man,
that's a good one.
That's a really funny.
Fun
we brought it up before because I said it reminds me of Tommy Boy, but they're both Tommy. Neither of them are Richard.
It's a great description.
And
this time, like, I really like Sam. There's like a black character and a white character, and I really like the black character. He's really great. And he's probably a better actor and better like all around talent than the white character. But watching it this time, like, I really love how much Tim loves being Tim on that show. Like I don't know how else to describe it, but like, his character loves life in a way that I'll never be able to love life. Like, but I want to. Like it's like as I watch, I'm aspirationally watching Detroiters, thinking this guy just loves life. Like he sings full out in episodes where he can't actually sing, and he realizes he can't sing. He does the hustle in an episode, and he can't dance. And it's like, man, this guy is just like he loves life. And like Sam does all those things too, but Sam's actually really talented and can do all those things.
Yeah.
So, oh man, I just watch it and think, man, I wish I loved life as much as that guy loves life. That's awesome.
Like Johnny. Yeah, Sam is also in Veep, which is one of my favorite shows.
He's in a few different things. He's really funny.
Yeah, but that's the thing is he's always doing the funny thing. I'm sure he can do more.
Yeah,
we'll see it soon.
For sure.
Did you guys see the last Crashing? The most recent Crashing?
Yeah, that one was tough, huh?
It was good. It hit me in the soft spot just of the addiction, you know? I was so good. I was really good. Yeah. Anyhow,
I felt like they almost had to do that episode at some point because Artie's such a big character on that show, but they don't ever really talk about like he just makes terrible choices in real life. And so to kind of go that route was like, wow, I can't believe they actually addressed that. But
it was gnarly.
It was pretty amazing. So all right, here's the list. I get to pick the top 5. Go.
Yowzers.
Oh, B, this is not a good week for you.
I don't care.
Oh, you can't just decide the rankings don't matter. That's not fair. All right. Let's see. I'm going to put down the NBA All-Star Game because Jason and I both really like the NBA All-Star Game. I will put down your Avett Brothers documentary, B. You get credit for that one. I also like the Avett Brothers, but I don't love them, so maybe I'll watch it. I'm going to put down Detroiters because I just feel bad about not putting it in my year-end shows because it was one of my favorite shows last year. I'm going to put down... I can't put any more PBS shows from Jason. That one's out. So I'm going to put down my YouTube channel. It's called Reading for Sunday. And then I'm going to put down... subscribe, just like Jason. Because he's a good friend. I'm going to put down also Billy Graham. Billy Graham will be my this week. That's good. So many great stories, such an important influence. All right, that's a pretty good list.
Yeah, good job, everybody.
Best for the week. So there you go.
B-sides.
Oh, you got to add the song in.
It sounds just like the song you guys are doing.
B-sides. Okay. I'll tell you what the category is, and then I'll tell you why I chose this one, which encapsulates my answer. But I want you guys to share a minor gripe, not a major gripe, like things that need to be changed, like at the White House, but like a minor thing that someone might agree with you on.
Boy.
And I'm saying that because this morning I spent my morning. Oh man, our recycle bin that's about as tall as me, it's huge, hasn't been picked up for a few weeks, so it's got full of rainwater because we live in Seattle. And why don't they just put a hole at the bottom of the bin so that the rain goes out? No, my roommate and I had to take out all the wet, soppy recycling from 3 weeks, dump out all the rainwater, and then put everything back in so that it'd get picked up. It hadn't been picked up because it was too heavy, but it was too heavy because the rain was collecting in there. And I wanted to just drill a hole at the bottom, but thought we might get fined for ruining our bin or whatever.
No way. You should absolutely do that.
Anyway, the whole thing was full, like 5 feet of water. And it was super heavy. And that's what I was doing this morning and why I forgot about the podcast. So that's my minor gripe. Put holes on the bottom of the bins, especially if they're in a rainy region. Come on, people.
Yeah.
Oh, minor gripe.
That's my
All right, I have too many to narrow them down. But
I thought Greg might have a few.
This happened last night to me, and so I'm going to just throw this one out there. I have my oldest son plays soccer, and in soccer there are 3 referees on the field for any given game. Literally, like from like 8th grade on, there's always 3 referees, and for some reason that is beyond me. Our school district refuses to have 3 referees in like 18-year-old guy soccer games. It's like, it's so insane to me. And it's so stupidly easily fixed that.
Is it a money thing?
I hope not, because I pay to go to every one of those stupid games. Like, there were probably 100 people at the game last night, and everybody played $4. There's no way we couldn't afford to have a third referee. It's just, it's so stupid. It's so stupid.
You need to get to the bottom of that.
And it's so infuriating to me. And I finally, like, it cost us the game last night, or like, it really cost us the game last night because with like 6 seconds left, they hit a shot that went underneath the crossbar and then like came straight down and bounced back up again. And on the bounce back up, the goalie knocked it away. So it's a goal if it's all the way across that line.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not a goal if it's still on the line. But the ref who made the call was like 15 yards away, standing by me. There's only 2 of them, so there's nobody on the line to make that call. Whereas if you had 3, that third ref would be on the line looking at the goal line. So frustrating. So anyway, that's a minor gripe.
I just thought of something that we could also call this B-side first world problems.
Yeah.
There's no hole in my recycler. There's no.
Made me so mad. Why am I dealing with this?
There's not a third coach at my soccer game.
Referee. And by the way, that's not just a first world problem, because I think South America would understand this complaint.
Yeah, I think soccer is pretty popular worldwide.
All I have to say to is football, and they would totally know what I'm talking about.
What kicked it over was what I was about to say, because the first thing that popped into my mind was because we're selling our house. We actually just sold our house.
How is that not one of your 3, by the way?
Yeah, because this is kind of why. Maybe this first world.
Because Speakeasy was on, Greg.
Yeah, Speakeasy was on.
Because a show I've never heard of before existed.
No, my gripe is it's the same thing. The same thing when I was buying the house. We had a conversation about this. This might have been on the when I was moving out here. When this might have made 5 Best or Gratitude or something. I don't know. Whatever. It's like they've never sold or bought a house.
You're exactly right about this.
My gripe is like, seriously, like there should be a checklist. You can. This is what you do.
This hard.
It shouldn't be this. It's not rocket science. You just this is how you sell a house. You check these things off this list. This is how you buy a house. Check. But no, there's not that. It's
if any other industry operated this way, they would go out of business, Jason.
I would leave.
Exactly right about that point.
Yeah.
That the realtor cannot tell you going in how much it's actually going to cost you.
Yeah.
Is insane. It doesn't make any sense. You both agreed on a number.
Yeah. My realtor wouldn't even tell me how much I could afford.
Right.
Like that's crazy. Okay, can I bid this amount? I don't know.
Oh man.
What do you mean? What? Anyway, there's just that.
You are exactly right about this, Jason.
My gripe is selling and buying houses is not, it's not a well-oiled machine, and it needs some looking at. It needs some looking at.
Yes.
Yeah, that is first world problems. A specific first world type of problem.
I also have a gripe that I want to chime in here with that reminds
not
me.
being able to afford a house.
Yeah, my gripe is that I have friends who know about my YouTube channel who willingly, intentionally do not subscribe to it, and I know it's just so I will gripe about it. So there it is. Not to name names.
Gripes on gripes on gripes on
names, but
I didn't know what that text meant. Something YouTube.
I don't click on random links.
Yeah,
it's like
it had a picture.
I didn't want to lose my credit card information. I didn't want to lose my credit.
It had a picture of my face on it.
I didn't want to get hacked.
That's a scam.
Yeah, you're right. That clearly, that's right. Oh man! All right. Well, thank you for joining us again this week on This Week in Gratitude. Please subscribe, tell your friends, pass it around, sing our praises somewhere. Give us 5 stars on the ratings, all that kind of stuff. Really appreciate it. We will probably be back next week, but there's a chance we won't with Jason moving and everything. But if it's not next week, it'll be soon. And we hope you have a good week. We'll talk to you later.
Bye.